Okay, and welcome back to part 2 of this video. Part 2 is the advanced repair of this unit if you are choosing to repair it rather than replacing it. As in previous videos I've made, the rollers are available on our website to repair this fuser unit. They're available at fixitfastelectronics.com. And as with previous videos, there are also cheap counterfeit rollers that don't work properly. It seems to be like China is just deliberately putting out these crap fuser rollers that don't last very long and cause your printer to say overheating or cooling down for a while. So here we have an example of one counterfeit roller. It comes in a box like this. It has a label like this. And when you look at the roller looks nothing like the original genuine Brother fuser roller. We have a look at the roller. It's really shiny on the edges. It has a code engraved into it right where we don't want it. It's not so much of a problem in this one because this fuser unit has bearings. Yeah, and other printer technicians go, wow, these fuser rollers, they look really nice and the quality looks excellent, but they're not. It's all for show. If we look at the fuser roller, you'll see there's no internal black lining that's been applied correctly. The internal black lining has got a nice mirror finish, and this fuser roller won't last very long at all. In fact, there's other videos on YouTube about repairing not just this fuser but very similar fuser units where they recommend using this roller. If we hop over to the rollers that I supply, my rollers come just in a plain brown box, and if we have a look at it, if we can get the cover off, you'll see the rollers are finished much better. They have a sandblasted surface at the area where the rubber bonds to the steel tubing. That extra step by sandblasting the surface means that the rubber will bond on and stay on a lot longer than the cheap knockoffs. If we look inside the roller, we will see it has an internal black lining that is applied correctly. Nice and dull, no reflections. And if we compare the two rollers side by side, you can see straight away the difference in the quality of the rollers. It's all about going the extra step. And of course your machine won't say cooling down for a while or overheating. Okay, so in the bulk of cases you do not have to change this lower roller. A lot of people make the mistake of when they open the back of their printer, they see orange rubber flakes coming out. They look at the orange rubber flakes and they go, oh, it's this roller that's damaged. This is what's causing the problem. I need to change this roller. No. The orange rubber flakes come from the inside of the roller. So the fuser roller is black on the outside. On the inside it is orange. It has orange 2 layers on it. So if we use the knockoff roller, we can see straight away, it's very easy to see. You have the black outer coating and an orange inner coating. You can see it much better there. So those orange rubber flakes that you see coming out of the back of your printer and on your printouts, it all comes from this roller. So this roller only needs to be changed if you've gotten into it and damaged it with a set of pliers or a screwdriver or some implement from the kitchen. Okay, so we'll start this video off by removing the paper guide. We need to remove this screw here, and we need to remove this screw here. Okay, and we take this cover plate off and we set it aside. Okay, so this gives us better access now. We can have a look in, see a bit better what this customer has done to their machine. Oh, they've really gone to town on this one. Alright, so the next step is we have to remove this plate here. And we do that by removing this screw. It's just simply a case of lifting the cover plate out, like so. Now this gives us access to the fuser lamps down here, and what happens is you have these two little prongs here. It goes in like so, but also there is a tiny little piece of Teflon plastic here. It's a heat shield. It stops the heat from escaping. You need to grab this little plate and remove it as well. So you can either get your finger in there or get yourself a pair of long nose pliers. Grab it and lift it out, like so. So this plate only goes in one way. And it goes in this way. Okay, so we'll set that aside over here. The next step is we need to undo the fuser roller, release it from the fuser drive gear. Now on the fuser rollers there are metal tabs. So on these rollers you have these metal tabs here. Let's put them on the side. These metal tabs get bent outwards. In the case of this fuser unit, some fuser units the tabs get bent inwards. So these will be butterflied out, and that's what locks the gear onto this section. So you have to be very careful, because going through the middle is the two fuser lamps. So if you slip, we can get it into focus, if you slip you can smash those lamps, and that obviously would be a very bad thing. So we need to move this around. You can see the tab in there that's bent out. I can get in there. So we need to bend that tab back downwards to release it. So it's just simply a matter of getting a screwdriver like so, with a narrow flat blade tip, and we stick it in like so, and we carefully bend that tab back out, or flat. So what we're aiming for is we're aiming for this gap on the corner here where we can get the screwdriver in, and that little gap to bend it down. Okay, so if we have a look, I've managed to get my screwdriver in that gap between the tongue, and then it's just simply a matter of carefully twisting it very, very, very gently. You do not want to slip and hit that lamp that's in there, the two lamps, because if you smash those lamps, you might as well go and buy a new fuse unit. So we've managed to flatten that side out on that tongue. We'll turn the roller around and we will go around to the opposite side. And then we're aiming for that gap in the corner as well, to push that tab down. Okay, so we've got the screwdriver stuck between that one, and it's just a careful, slow, gentle turn to bend that tab back down as well, flat. Okay, and that should be the gear released from the roller. Now you do not want to bend the tabs down, so it's the worst thing you could possibly do is to bend these tabs inwards. You want to make the tabs flush with the circle of the roller. Alright, so the next step is one of the hardest steps. If you thought that was difficult, we need to release the fuser roller from the upper roller. It's tied down with these springs. The spring hooks on here, and the spring hooks in over here, and it's tied down on this side here and tied down here. So what we have to do is we have to get some pliers, some long nose pliers, into this section here, or if you have a spring pull, stick your spring pull in there and just pull it out and release the pressure. Now these pressure release tabs, they do not want to be in this position. They need to be in the released position up here. Same with this one. You do not want to be down like that. They need to be up like that. So it's simply a case of grabbing your long nose pliers and twisting it over and releasing it like so. Same over here, we have a different arrangement. You want to hook it on the opposite side, so this is the over here is the open side of the spring. So you want to get your hook in there like so, and then we simply twist. You're twisting, grabbing the pliers on this edge here and twisting and releasing it. Okay, and there we go, we've released both springs. Grab the fuse unit, lift it over like so, and grab the roller off. This is keyed over here, it's not perfectly round, it's keyed, so you have to lift the roller up and key it through the plastic arm in order to separate it away. Alright, so now on this fusee unit they have plastic tabs here. You need to be aware of these plastic tabs and how they go on. These plastic tabs rub against the pressure release for feeding things like envelopes. So these go in like so, and then on this one like so. Alright, so pick that up and put that over there. Alright, so back to the fuser. I can see just how much damage this customer has done to this fuse unit. Wow, they've really gone to town. Okay, so the next step we have to do is we have to remove this screw to remove this cover plate. Okay, and then that cover plate. You have to be very careful getting this cover plate off, as there is a plastic clip inside which locks it on. Okay, so what you have to do is get your screwdriver, stick it into this section here to release the plastic clip that locks the cover plate on. Okay, there's the little clip there, and then this simply comes up, and you have to be wary of the leads. So you can see there, like so. So yes, as I said before, this unit has two lamps that are built into the one lamp for rapid heating. It also makes it really difficult to repair this fuser unit. This fuser unit is pretty much a 9.5 on the scale of difficult to repair. So the next step we have next is we have to remove the leads from the electrodes. So you can either just simply pull on them very gently to remove them, or the other option you can do is you can grab your pliers. You can stick one end of your plier there, the other end on the lead, and squeeze. And of course, you don't forget to squeeze on the locking tab. These particular leads have locking tabs on them, I think. Where is it? Yes, so if we have a look, there is locking tabs on these particular connectors. You simply push that locking tab in and the lead comes off. Same on this one, push the locking tab. And off the lead comes. So disregard the pliers squeezing, that was for the previous model of printer. Alright, next step, we have to undo these two screws that hold the lamps in. Now you need to pay attention. The screws that come out from these are short screws. Do not get them mixed up with the screws that hold on the cover plate, which are long screws. Alright, so next step. I'm getting hard on in there. We have to undo the cables. So we will undo these two sensor cables from the body around. Okay, so the cables are free. Alright, then we need to carefully turn the fuser over. Next step is we have to undo this screw here. And it's a long screw. You need to undo the cables all the way. And what that then does is it allows us to remove this cover plate, which then gives us access to the lead on the lamp. Okay. So I think this one doesn't have a locking pin, or does it? Yeah, so this side doesn't have a locking pin. It's just simply a case of pulling it off. You have to be very careful. If you reef it, you can smash the lamps. Okay, so that's all now free. Alright, so we now have to grab, so what we're doing is we're grabbing the roller underneath as we are flipping the fuser unit over, and now the fuser roller should be free from all the body. So we can now lift the entire roller and heating assembly out. So on this particular fuser unit, it has long life bearings rather than graphite bushes for the roller to roll on. It has a thermal heating insulator, so the bearings don't get damaged. So on this side there's a Bakelite bushing. On this side, in order for the roller to conduct, there's actually a graphite bushing on this bearing over here, so it's very important that it goes back on. So what we can do now is we can grab the fuser lamp and just carefully pull it out. And then we need to set it aside somewhere where it won't get in contact with any oils. It won't drop and get smashed. And just be very gentle with it. So you can probably leave I've jumped the gun a bit, you can probably leave the releasing of the fuser roller from the gear to this time now. Probably makes a bit more sense actually. I'm just simply doing what I do day in, day out, and we don't do this fuser unit too often. So yeah, you can see here the pins that lock the gear to the roller. And it's just a matter of bending the tabs down and making them flush again. So they're not quite down all the way, so I'll just bend them now. Alright, so yeah, that just goes in there. And then we just turn the screwdriver and bend the tongue back flat. Okay, so now those tabs are released, and then we can just simply pull the gear off like so, and that gives us access to where we want to be. So then you can just pull this bearing off pull the bushing off. Same on this side, pull the bearing off, pull the bushing off. And there we have one damaged roller. So this particular roller is a genuine fuser roller. So if we compare that to my roller, you can see they're very, very similar. Same build quality, I dare say. And most important of all, we have the same internal lining on the inside of the roller. Alright, so we just want to examine the body of the fuser unit, make sure there is nothing stuck in here that shouldn't be here, like pieces of paper. We want to check the thermistor to see that it's good and clean and vertical and not bent. If it is dirty, you can clean it with a rag and turpentine. Do not use methylated spirits or alcohol, as it doesn't dissolve toner. Turpentine is what dissolves toner. And do not bend it, just keep it vertical and rub on it very, very gently. Alright. Alright, so now's the reassembly phase, which is pretty much just the reverse of everything we have done. So we'll start by locking the new fuser roller to the gear. So we will stick it in the bush, stick it in the bearing, stick it on. Grab the gear. Now on the gear there are notches here and here, and they go into the notches on the roller to allow it to be driven. Notch it on, so the gear's on, and then it's just simply a case of bending those tabs out. So grab some pliers, we stick the pliers in and we squeeze on the tab. Okay, it's locked. We do it on the other side as well. And we try not to damage the surface while we're doing it. Alright, so we've just got the fuser now sitting on some paper just for a clean work area. The next step we've got is we've got the fuser roller. We put the bearings on either end, and now we need to stick the fuser lamp back through it. So we grab the fuser lamp by the end. You do not touch the glass surface, you do not sneeze on the glass surface, do not breathe on it, do not rub it. If you get anything on it, that is bad. Carefully stick it back in so it comes out the other side. Alright, next step is we need to tape these picker fingers back so they're not in the road when we're sticking the roller down. Alright, so we've got 4 bits of masking tape. In my case, you can use whatever tape you want. It's just simply a case of grabbing the finger and taping it back over so that it's out of the road when we're putting the roller in. Okay, so now those fingers are out of the road. Now we can grab our roller assembly with the lamps. Now you need to have the electrode on this side pushing downwards. So we lift it up and we carefully place it, aligning the bearings up with their holes and carefully placing the electrode on this lamp, the connector, through the hole on the side. Same over here, we just make sure it's all aligned up. Okay, they're lined up with the screw points. It's lined up over here. There is a notch for the lamp to go into here. There's a hole on the lamp where this plastic notch comes through. There. And then it's just simply a case of tying everything down. So we go find our 2 short screws. Two short screws, one on here. Okay, so we've got both 2 screws tied down now, and we want to move on to this side. We want to put that small little plate back in. So, and that simply locks in. Okay, so that's locked in. That's grabbing onto the lamp now. And the next step is we want to stick that cover plate on. Here's our cover plate. Lock that on. We have a long screw to go back in. Okay, so that, for all intrinsic purposes, the lamp is now holding it in position. You can now release the pressure on the fingers. So the rollers will pick up oils from your hands as you're working. Before you put the fuse unit back into the machine, you need to clean those oils off simply by getting a rag and turpentine and rubbing the whole surface of the roller around clean. Alright, so the next step now is we will hook up the lamp leads back up. And the second lead. so. Alright, now we will move on to reinstalling the lower roller. Alright, so we've got our roller and our springs to go back on now. This is one of the more difficult parts of the job because you have to get these springs through this hole while at the same time not losing this plate. You could probably put the plate on later on. So it's just simply a matter of hooking it in. Hooking this side in as well. And we also have to put the spring on properly. And we drop this one as well. It's in there, that one's in there, and then what we can do is we grab it like so, squeezing the roller together. If you don't put pressure on, this fuser roller can fall out this way. So we flip it over and we rest it on the table like so. And then we have to pull the springs through and hook them back onto the little tongue protruding there. And we have to do that on there as well. So if you've got a spring pull, you can just simply put your spring pull on there and pull it out and stick it over. Same again over here. We don't have one of those. We've never used one. So I'm simply just going to grab it with my long nose pliers and very carefully and gently pull it up and back onto the hook that's on there. So I'll do that off camera because I don't want to break it. Alright, so I've got both springs back on, both sides. These are in the out position, and now we have the fuser unit safely under pressure again on both sides. So now with it turned over, we can finish off by putting the cover plates back on. So we have this cover plate here to go back on. Which one is this one? We have this cover plate here to go back on. So this is the cover plate for the fuser lamp leads. So it's just a matter of getting the yellow lead into that notch there. And then at the same time getting that notch down in there. Okay, that's locked in. We have the white lead in here, we have the yellow lead in here, and we have this lead over here. Then we take another long screw and stick it in the hole. Okay, that's that one. So now we have to put on this cover on this side after we put the other end of the fuser lamp lead on. Push that down. Okay, so this cover has to go on this way. Grab these leads, pull them out of the road. Screw that in. Okay, so I got that screwed down, then we've got to run the leads. Okay, so I've got the first lead run. We'll run the second lead. Now it's very important these leads are tucked away, otherwise they'll get in the road when you're putting the fuser unit back in to the printer. Alright, so we've got our leads tucked away behind all the clips down here. That's all ready to go back in the printer. And now it's just simply a case of cleaning the rollers down with some turpentine to make sure they're nice and clean. We stick the cover back on. Like so. Stick our two screws in on either end. And there we have it. We have one fusee unit totally rebuilt, ready to go for another life. And then the next step, of course, is putting it back in the printer, which we will move on to shortly. Alright, so we've got our mineral turpentine. Just going to put some on a rag. And I'm just going to clean the surface of the rollers to get any wax, any oils off that have come off my fingers. Because the moment you put this thing back in and it heats up to 200 degrees Celsius, if there's any wax or oils left over from your fingers, they can create hot spots on the surface of the roller, and then the roller can actually burst. Alright, so I've just finished cleaning all the oils off. We're just going to put the fuser aside for about 5 or 10 minutes so that any residue from the turpentine just flashes off, evaporates. And then the next step we will do is we will get to putting it back into the printer. Alright, so here we are back at the printer. We've got our fusee unit all totally rebuilt, ready to go back in. It's just simply a case of joining up the power connector, plugging that back in. Once that's in, we carefully lift the fusee unit back into the body. Like so. We make sure that hole lines up there. We make sure that hole lines up there. And we screw it down. Okay, we move on to the opposite side and we do that screw now. Okay, make sure these leads are tucked away. Now over to plugging in the sensor cables. Over here it's simply a case of plugging it in and then realizing we've made the lead too short. Okay, we'll get back to that. Alright, back to running these leads properly. The lead from the thermistor from the outer temperature sensor has to go over and not under this plate. Hooks under and then down and around, and that will have enough length. Alright, so now we've got those leads run properly. They of course now reach. Alright, so putting these leads back in without breaking the circuit board. In the last video I made, one of the most common breakage points was this little circuit board because people have reefed the cables in and out. And there's several other videos made by other people that aren't even printer technicians. They're just going pull, or they're getting a screwdriver and they're getting their screwdriver and they're poking it out like this. It's bad, bad, bad stuff. You do not want this socket to push left or right or back to front. You only want it to push down. So it's just a matter of getting the cable, carefully sticking it in. There we go. and carefully, gently pushing it down. Same with the white cable. Carefully locating it and carefully, gently pushing it down. With the cables, zoom back out, simply getting them and gently and carefully tucking them away off to the side. Like so. Okay. Alright, now the next step is putting the cover plates back on and the back inner door. Alright, so we want to grab our back inner door. Alright, so it's time to put the inner back door on. We've got it the right way around with the green lugs this way. We've got to put it in that hole there from this lug here. And like so. Then over here, it goes in there like so. And when you close it up, it locks up here. Now we've also got to put the cover plates on. So these cover plates go on in here. So it's just a matter of opening it up. Now this has got a hook up here to hook up in here. Okay, so that's locked in, and then we've just got to stick the screw back in that goes in here. Alright, screws back in. Next step, we get the cover plate from this side over here. Now it's very important that this cover plate gets locked in properly. If you do not lock this cover plate in properly, your machine can give you paper jamming messages. When you shut this cover up, this jam sensor here goes over to this arm here, and this arm goes between that U-shaped infrared sensor right there. That is the cover switch, and it is also the jam switch. If you don't have this assembly installed properly, the cover will shut and the machine will look like it's functioning, but whenever you feed paper through, it will paper jam. So it's just a case of pulling the inner door out, and we do that last. So we stick the cover plate on. I was under the impression that this one was completely different to the previous model, but it turns out it's exactly the same as the 9330. So we hook the plate in down here. And that clip locks in over here somewhere. And there we stick the screw in there. And it's just a matter of getting the inner door, sticking it in the hole over here and sliding it into the slide there. Okay, now that's locked in there, locked in up there, locked in up there. Close the door, plug it in, turn it on, and all should be fixed. Alright, how long did that take? It's probably about an hour, I think. So I've done that one-handed. You doing that two-handed should be a lot faster. So we'll now fire the printer up and just make sure it's all in order. Oh dear. Okay, so if you get this message, this means that the fuser unit has overheated, or the machine has been unable to get a correct temperature sensor reading prior to this work being done. So it's just simply a case of now waiting 15 minutes. Yes, we have to wait 15 minutes. The machine will cycle power when it's ready, and it will turn itself off, turn itself back on again, and it should clear this message. If you find that this message does not clear, you have possibly damaged the sockets that are over here, the blue and white sockets on that little circuit board that's there. So that's pretty much it for this machine. There'll be a few more follow-up videos as more problems start to come through. If you want to buy those rollers, you can buy them on my website, fixitfastelectronics.com. On the left of the menu is an icon that says printer parts. You click on that, and in there is the common selling Brother printer parts that we sell for Brother printers, and a few other makes and models as well. If you're in the local Brisbane or Gold Coast area and you want to have this done to your machine, we come out on site. We can do this job on site. You can also drop the machine off to our workshop if you would like. We would prefer that you didn't, because quite often when people drop machines into us, they damage the machines along the way. So we would rather come out to your place where it's stationary, it hasn't moved, and you haven't had a chance to break it. So just give us a call on our phone number that's on our website. We'll come out and do the job on site. We also do a package deal for people. If you're out of toner, or the toners in your machine are the source of the reason your fuser failed, if you buy one set of our toner cartridges from us, we will repair the fuser unit free of charge, including all parts. You simply pay for the toners and you get your printer fixed for free at the same time. So it's a pretty good deal that most people seem to like. And when you need more toners in the future, you simply ring us up and we'll come out and deliver you the toners that you need. Our toners work. We guarantee that they work. If they cause any problems, phone me up and I will come out and I want to investigate as to why they have caused problems and correct it. Yep, so that's it for today. Very long video. It takes probably about half the time when you're not videoing, so it's probably about a half an hour job, 45 minutes. Yeah, so hopefully that's helped out. This is not a beginner's type repair, this is really an advanced repair. But if you want to take the risk, the rollers are there. It's cheaper than buying a whole new fuser unit, and we can get your printer up and running and going again a lot cheaper. Thanks. I'll see you later.